Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of F&I Focus, the only podcast dedicated to building better F&I departments throughout the country. I'm your host, Ken Gordon, with the Ford Protect SDR Profit Builder program. And I'd like to take a minute here before we get started to thank all of you who are tuning in on a regular basis. We appreciate your support so much as we build and grow and continue to improve on this project. We can't do it without you, so thanks for showing up every week. And please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you'll be alerted when new content shows up, and remember to give us a thumbs up and leave some feedback there as well so we know we're on the right track. Last time on F&I Focus, we talked about the value of consistency and how practicing and rehearsing your presentation could help you grow and become more successful. Today, we're going to talk about everybody's favorite subject, compliance and ethics. That's right, I said compliance. Now, before you get all bummed out and decide not to listen, know that I'm planning to provide you with some really good information here. So stick around and try to make it to the end. So first, let's define compliance. Here's how Webster defines it: the act of conforming, acquiescing, or yielding, conformity, accordance, cooperation, or obedience. Now here's the definition of ethics: a system of moral principles, that branch of philosophy dealing with values relating to human conduct with respect to the rightness or wrongness of certain actions and to the goodness and badness of the motives and ends of such actions. So when we talk about compliance and ethics, there are a few questions that you have to ask. They're important questions. Number one, are your F&I practices legally compliant? How do you know, and should you care? You see, the challenge is in balance. Balance between profitability and CSI and legal compliance. The question is, do they or can they coexist? We believe the answer is yes. They absolutely can live in harmony and actually complement each other. So here's a little history lesson for you on compliance and how it came to be such a big deal in our industry. Back in 1998, payment packing surfaced in Washington State. Not that it wasn't present in other places, and in fact, it was probably a normal sales technique in many states and dealerships. In the early days of F&I, a common presentation technique was known as close and then disclose. And what that meant was gain commitment on a payment, then tell the customer what was included. In July of 1999, ABC's 2020 airs The Art of the Car Deal, revealing the practice of payment packing. May of 2000, CBS airs What Some Car Dealers Don't Want You to Know. March 2002, WFLA in Tampa airs Paying Too Much. December of 2003, Dateline airs a very negative story about a major U.S. automotive group. All of these shows were designed to point the finger at our industry and to let the world know that some dealerships were in fact taking advantage of consumers. Now, we know that not every dealership in the country engaged in these kinds of practices, but what the media did was paint a picture that made the public believe that every dealer in every city and state was crooked. Because of that, every store became a target for investigation. Not every store was investigated, but rest assured the lens on the microscope became more and more focused. The lawyers and the state's attorneys began to take notice and began to watch. And just so you know, they're still watching. That's why the menu was developed. That's why we believe so strongly in doing things right in today's world. Don't put yourself or your dealership in jeopardy. Here's just a few examples of sentences handed down when wrongdoing was proven and people in dealerships were convicted. F&I manager number 1. $1,000 fine, 6 months in jail, and 5 years probation. F&I manager number 2, $1,000 fine, 3 years probation. F&I manager number 3, $1,000 fine, 6 months in jail, and 100 hours community service. General manager, $2,500 fine, 6 months in jail, 5 years probation, 32 hours of community service. Nameless Chevy dealer agreed to pay $2.5 million in restitution to settle fraud charges against the dealership without admitting liability. These are allegations filed against another nameless dealership. ABC Toyota routinely preys upon unsuspecting customers in systematic ways and trains its F&I managers in a series of deceptive practices, all of which are designed to artificially inflate back-end profits. So the next question is, who's responsible for compliance? Is it the dealer, the F&I manager, or the customer? Or is it all three? Does your dealership have a dedicated compliance officer? So let's answer the question about who's responsible. It is the dealer that is responsible for making proper disclosures, not the bank, not the finance company, not the forms or DMS provider, not the vendor. The dealer is responsible for employee compliance. The dealer will be sued for the violations of its untrained people, its careless people, and its bad actors. The dealer will have to pay the bill for its lawyers, and if the law has been violated, for the plaintiffs and their lawyers as well. In most cases, the dealer will be held responsible for the illegal actions of its employees and will be subject to civil or criminal penalties for their actions. Now, there's a whole laundry list of things you need to know when conducting business as an F&I manager to protect the dealer's assets. Here's part of the list. And believe me when I tell you, this is an abbreviated version. There's a lot more. So here we go. The Truth in Lending Act and Regulation Z, and you better know this one inside and out. The Consumer Leasing Act and Regulation M, the Equal Opportunity Act and Regulation B, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Here's a few more. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, the FTC Used Car Rule, the FTC Credit Rules, the Federal Odometer Law, the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act and FTC Privacy Regulations, the U.S. Patriot Act and OFAC requirements, red flag rules, the do not call, do not email, do not fax rules, the IRS 8300 cash reporting rule, and your state laws regarding compliance. In a previous podcast, we talked about the 4 responsibilities of the F&I department manager, and number 2 deals completely with compliance. Here's all 4. Pay close attention to number 2. Number 1, deliver the car. Number 2, cover the dealer's assets. Be compliant. Number 3, cash flow. Number 4, make money. So what are some things that you can do to be sure that you are in compliance? Well, educate yourself. Where can you go to gain knowledge about this topic? Go to your state or independent auto dealer associations. Go to the FTC website. That's ftc.gov. Go to the Consumer Finance website, consumerfinance.gov. Get up to speed on your state laws through your state's AG office, Consumer Protection Agency, and DMV websites. Attend industry conferences, go to 20 group meetings, and talk to other F&I managers. Listen, compliance is not a subject to be taken lightly in today's environment. Knowledge is the key to surviving on this dark and treacherous highway. Now let's talk a little bit about ethics, because compliance and ethics go hand in hand. Adopt a personal and professional code of ethics. In fulfilling the duties of the profession, F&I personnel serve 2 masters, the dealership and the customer. The ethical F&I professional attempts to serve the customer's best interests while contributing to the dealership's profitability. Here's a list of things that the professional F&I manager does consistently. Obeys the law personally and professionally. Holds in confidence all customer information. Does not make false statements or fail to disclose a material fact while performing the responsibility of the office. Exhibits diligence of effort, striving to achieve a mastery of skills and thorough knowledge of guidelines. Exemplifies ideals of good conduct, acting with integrity, and maintaining a professional demeanor in the workplace and in the community. So look, by the time someone goes to work in a dealership, he or she already knows the difference between right and wrong. In the long run, a dealer's bottom line is best served by ethical practices. We don't debase what we respect. Respect should be a key element in all dealings with customers, fellow employees and managers, lenders, and vendors. Respect your occupation. It's easier to feel good about your job when you act honorably, work as a team player, and possess the knowledge necessary to satisfy the demands of the position. In almost every situation, it is clear whether the actions taken are ethical or not. It is the responsibility of each individual to act ethically. Okay, so final thoughts. We're almost done. Do you think that maintaining compliance will get easier or harder? Do you think class action lawsuits are going away or becoming the norm? Do you think there's an attorney sitting out there watching your every move, waiting for you to make a mistake? Are your state laws dealership friendly or consumer friendly? Are compliance and ethics two different subjects, or are they related? Do you have 3 to 5 years to waste sitting in jail? Listen, the attack on our industry was and continues to be relentless. We have a responsibility to not only do the right thing in every situation, but to also do our best to change the public perception by doing exactly that, the right thing in every situation. So there you have it, friends, some thoughts and ideas that may help you make more money and stay out of prison. Thanks for joining me today for another episode of F&I Focus. Make it great. Don't give up. Practice your craft. I'm Ken Gordon with the Ford Protect SDR Profit Builder Program, and I'll see you next time on F&I Focus.